episode number 2. Today's guest is a mate of yours.
He is Clint Boge from the Butterfly Effect, in fact.
And what does he bring to the Brown Park table?
I would say he brings sex, drugs and rock and roll.
That's a good start.
But beyond that, yes, he has had his struggles with mental health along the way, and his journey's quite interesting, and I think we'll get a bit out of it.
Shush, I'm still stuck on sex, drugs and rock and roll.
The Brown Podcast.
Did you ever want to be in a rock band?
When I was in high school, I played guitar, so yes, that absolutely did.
You still know how to play guitar?
No, because I only ever learnt like the beginning riffs of songs like din 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 din.
I bet you knew.
Oh yeah, that is one of the very first songs you learn on guitar. That's a rite of passage.
I always wanted to be a pop star. I wrote many a pop record and tried to get a contract and just failed miserably time and time again.
So in that instance, what did you want to be? Did you want to be a boy band? Did you want to be a solo artist? Are you a triple threat?
So get this right. I wanted to be a solo artist, and at one point I'd sent music to a record company and they said, would you ever be interested in joining a boy band? This was back when boy bands were a thing.
Yes.
And I went, no, I'd prefer to be solo, thanks.
I love it.
And I'm like, you dick.
You could have been like NSYNC or what's the Australian guy? Human Nature. I could totally see you in a band like Human Nature for sure.
Which is the absolute opposite of our guest today from the Butterfly Effect. Let's bring him in. Clint Boge. Hello, mate.
Hello.
Hey.
Hello.
The mo is unbelievable.
For everyone out there that can't see it, it's spectacular.
It looks like you're a barista.
And how long does that take you to grow? Like, What are we talking?
I don't know. It was the leftovers of a beard I was growing throughout lockdown. You know, when you just sort of start putting on the dad kilos and you grow the beard, you get disheveled. That's what I was doing. So it was the leftovers of that. But it's come up pretty good, actually. And now I can twist the ends and turn them up like a hipster barista.
I don't know whether to talk about the Butterfly Effect or ask you for a small decaf. I'm not sure.
Can I get a half double strength decaf on skim?
How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, man. I'm really good, actually. I'm getting ready to do some shows with the Butters, and then we're going to be releasing another single and all that sort of stuff. So life is very busy. So it's good to be busy after a little bit of a break. So that's good. Yeah, and feeling pretty healthy. Yeah. Oh, well, not after last weekend, D. Thanks very much.
Okay. Yeah, for our one listener, you guys are good friends. How did you two meet? It was like 20 years ago or something?
Yeah, I think Clint has got the better version of that than me, but
well, we met through some mutual mates. The Butters played a gig on the Gold Coast, and our friends come along and saw us play, and then said, "Hey, man, you got to come over to the Rose and Crown." That was back in the day.
Oh my
God,
the
Goldie. I know. Yeah. I know, so good. And then we rocked inside, and then they said, "Oh, this is D." And the first thing D said to me is, "Do you believe in God?" And I thought,
can you believe it? That was my pickup line.
Really?
I thought, who is this guy?
And it's a loaded question, so you can't win or you can't lose with that question. So you either do, or you don't.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. Well, I think that throws up a lot of interesting. That opens a lot of pathways.
Yeah,
you know. And it did.
Well, I want to go back for the Butterfly Effect because it's funny. Like I'm not a massive fan of rock music, but I know so many people that grew up listening to the Butterfly Effect or were fans of you guys. How did it all start? How did it all come about?
Yeah. Oh man. Ben and Kurt went to school together, and stuff like that. And then when their original singer left, I was just sort of Johnny on the spot. But I actually moved into a share house in New Farm, and I'm one of the guys that moved in was from West Aussie, and he knows Kim from Dead Letter Circus.
Yep.
And Kim was actually in another band practicing at the same rehearsal space as Ben and Kurt and the other guys as the Butterfly Effect. And he rocked up to my place one night, totally randomly, and at a party, and just said, "Oh, hey man, what do you do?" I said, "Oh, I'm a singer, a musician, whatever." And he's like, "Oh, you any good?" And I said, "Oh, I don't know, I've done all right." And and we sort of mucked about singing, to an acoustic guitar. And he said, "Hey man, I know these guys that are looking for a singer, and I think you'd be perfect." So that was, like 2 degrees of separation with Kim.
And how did you then replace the existing lead singer?
The old singer pretty much threw down the steel gauntlet and said, "I don't like you guys anymore. If you can find another singer, do it."
Oh, fair enough.
And I just happened to be Johnny on the spot, and they rocked up and said, "Hey, dude, do you want to join the band?" I was like, "Yes, please."
So that is literally the butterfly effect.
That is exactly right.
When did you realise that you had a voice to sing?
When I was 5, I think. Yeah, I'd always been interested in music. One of those kids. I just knew exactly what I was going to do. The whole life path was already set before me. There was nothing else. Other guys, would come and go. I'd join bands and they'd quit and all that sort of stuff. But I just kept going. I just never stopped because it was just so ingrained in my mind that there was no other alternative. And my dad even said to me once when I was like, I don't know, 16 or something, he said, "Mate, get a trade, finish school, all that sort of stuff." I said, "No, Dad. I'm going to be a singer. That's what I'm going to do." He said, "Mate, you'll probably be on the bones of your ass. You'll have nothing." Well, I said, "But I'll be happy because that's what I'll be doing." Little did I know that the road is a lot more complicated than that. But that was the optimism of a 16-year-old.
So tell me, let's go back to 5 when you realised you could sing. I mean, at 5, my daughter thinks she can sing or whatever, and
Yeah.
Did you know you could sing? And obviously your parents supported you through it, but was there a level of mum and dad are just saying that because they're my parents?
Because, all parents sit there and they go, "Oh, you're great, honey. No, put on a show for us.
It's so good.
Yeah, that's right. That's an interesting one. Yes. No, I think because we were living in a small mining town and my dad is a bass player and he joined the country music band. So there was other people around us that were saying, "Hey, he might be all right at this and he might be able to go somewhere." And then I entered competitions, country music competitions, at Stedfords with the school choir, et cetera, et cetera. So there I was, I was getting first and second, third place. I was scoring top 3 out of quite a lot of kids. But and in Stedford, so I mean, even the music teacher said this kid might be all right. So, that's you sort of go from there.
Were you a dancer as well as a musician?
I'm not a triple threat. No, I'm not. I cannot dance for shit.
I don't know. I've seen you dance.
Oh man, that that is something. When Dee and I were in Vegas, funnily enough, I might have enjoyed a tipple of a few drinks, and I
fuck off. You drink, Dion? You don't drink. I've never seen you
occasionally.
Occasionally.
I discovered that I could dance.
He comes over to so Clint comes over to me off the dance floor and goes, "Hey D, I can dance." And I said to him, "Well, show me, brother."
Yes.
So he proceeded to show. He put on a show.
Yes,
it was very good.
You mentioned in there country music, and I know that you actually started out as a country music artist before moving to You mentioned in there country music, and I know that you actually started out as a country music artist before moving to the heavier stuff. How do you go from singing about dogs and whiskey and a broken heart to then getting to where you were?
I think, because you go through that, as a kid, you pretty much do whatever your parents want you to do. It's like, the kid that plays footy that just plays footy because dad wanted him to, or the girl that does dancing, or, whatever gender does whatever these days. But I think that's just what we did, and that was the music style at the time. Even though there was a lot of rock in the house got played, you know what I mean? My parents are like, listen to heaps of different stuff. And then as you grow, like I found, Michael Jackson and Elton John and Queen and that you just, wow, there's all this other great music out there. And, always loved it, but just felt that I was better suited. Well, there wasn't a rock club in Moranbah. There was the country music club. So that was the kind of thing. But as you obviously mature and then you start to realize that, if you impress the opposite sex, with that was what I did. I was like, and you get more interest from girls if you're in a rock band. Yeah. The country thing wasn't really happening at the time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that was a bit naff. So I wanted to be in a rock band and rock and
get laid.
And did it work? Well, did it work?
Kind of, sort of, sometimes.
In Moranbah? I mean, I'd like to at some point unpack Moranbah, but...
Where is Moranbah, by the way?
It's about 200 kilometres inland from Mackay. It's
Wow.
a mining town. It was actually, you know what, looking back on it, it was a great place to grow up. We didn't have those sort of vices or like it was playing in the creeks and running around. And you know, if you nicked a beer out of your old man's beer fridge, that was pretty naughty. And you went, oh, you know.
Yeah.
And all we had in town, well, you know, people smoked a bit of weed and drank a few beers, but that was it. Do you know what I mean? As far as we knew anyway.
I've a few people that I know that have grown up in small towns have said the same thing. It's all about drinking piss and getting laid.
That's exactly right.
What else is there to do?
Yeah. Well, that's right.
Xboxes weren't a big thing, yeah?
No, well, that's a good point, man. You know, there was we used to go down the bush and build cubbies and, you know what I mean? Like, we'd ride for bloody tens of kilometres on our push bikes and think nothing of it. And it was amazing. And then we got into dirt bikes and all that sort of stuff. And it's lucky, actually, we didn't kill ourselves doing that sort of thing. But it was a great place to grow up. There was very little crime. There wasn't anything sort of bad. You know, your parents let you stay out till the street lights come on. That's the kind of thing. You know what I mean? There was no helicopter parents. It was really free. But we didn't realise how good we had it until, you know, you sort of times change and you grow up
now.
Until now.
But does any generation know or appreciate it at the time? I'm not sure that happened, you know? I mean, I'm sure this generation we're raising is going to say the same thing you just said. You didn't realise how good we had it, because who knows what the world's going to look like in another 20 years, you know?
Exactly. But I think it's relative to the generation growing up in it. You know what I mean? Like our kids, they'll probably say, oh, we had it pretty good. But it's interesting because I remember, like, you know, even my grandparents saying, oh, we had it tough. You guys have got it easy. And I'm thinking, but it was a different time. There were different temptations, different vices, different pitfalls, different roadblocks. You know what I mean? Like, and I don't know if it's fair for the generation that precedes the next one to say that anyone had it easier than anyone else. Yeah. Because it's different. It's just different.
Now, I want to go from, so growing up in Moranbah to then being a country singer and then getting into the Butterfly Effect to then, like, touring around the world and, like, playing on the bill with Metallica or bands of that ilk. How does that happen?
When we come out of that, like, when we were sitting in the rehearsal space, it was really, we were quite fearless when we were writing music, which was amazing. Yeah. And to like, be a part of that. Kurt and Ben, the guitarist and drummer, were influenced by different bands. I'm talking like Silverchair and Muse and stuff like that, where I was more into like heavier stuff. Yeah. And I'm talking like from Metallica and Iron Maiden and all some of that older stuff to like Pantera and, you know, just heavier music. And then, like, you know, there was heaps of other bands coming out at that time. So that mashing of all of those different styles and influences together was really important. And also Kurt just has a very interesting guitar playing style that's not, he's not trained, he's not taught. It's just it's feel. Yeah. And it just hit with a great impact. And then when we brought out the EP, when we recorded that, Triple J luckily picked it up at a time when they were still playing a lot of heavy music. So that was really good. And then once that ball started rolling, we toured relentlessly from one end of the country to the other and back again. We'd have 2-3 weeks off and we'd go back. And we were playing, you know, the Barwon Club in Geelong to 20 people. We played the Woolshed with Cog to 20 people. You know, we play anywhere to anyone at any time. We didn't give a rat's. And then we'd party like dickheads.
And spend all your money that you just earned?
Exactly right. Yeah. So we used to get $30 a day, and that's all we'd earn on the road. So it was tough, man. So, you know, you would have to sacrifice a meal. That's just the way it was, because none of us could work because we're touring so much. But living off $30 a day, you understand how difficult it is sometimes to do that. And you know what? Some people out there are living off less. And, hats off, because it's bloody tough. But anyway, so we travel backwards and forwards. And we just played to everyone, and that grassroots movement sort of, you know, built the band, and we had a legion of diehard fans that would do anything for us. And that's how we did it. And I don't know if you can do it like that. Well, not in the current climate, but even if there was no pandemic, I don't even know if you could do that anymore.
I remember back then too. Yeah, you're right. Your fans are out there pushing T-shirts. You had like essentially a
street
team.
Yeah.
That was it. And they were your biggest advocates. No doubt that had an impact for sure.
Absolutely, they were running around. We gave them free albums, and they were running around the streets with a Discman and some headphones and just saying to people, hey, do you want to hear this new band? Like, that's the kind of shit. They were putting stickers on bloody
light posts.
Light posts, yeah, like on the on the lights and stuff like that. So that was all really instrumental, pardon the pun, and super important for that grassroots movement. And I don't know, yeah, like I said, I don't know if anyone's really doing that anymore, but that, it took a lot. That was a lot of coordination, a lot of, spending money on stuff that we were never going to see a return on in that fashion, like stickers and stuff like that. But we got it back tenfold with the love that we got from the crowds. And we're still seeing people that were like, 18 at the time, 20 years ago, that came and saw us then, that are now bringing their children to the gigs, and that happened on the reunion tour, which was incredible.
Yeah. So how does it then step up to the next level where you're touring internationally? And you've got, is that just based on Triple J play? Is that based on the following, or did somebody just go, these guys are really good, do we need to tour them, or how does it all work? Yeah,
I think because of that grassroots movement and because of the groundswell of support that we had, that we became undeniable as a band that had to be on the bill. Not only were we Australian, we're local, and that part of their content. You know what I mean? They want to keep Australian bands, and we were kind of like coming out of the blocks hard. They put us on the big day out. We fit with their format. Yeah, and that's how we got to play with Metallica and the list goes on. We did 2002, 2004, 7 and 9. So, and then we got to do some side shows. We got to play with System of a Down, it's just crazy. So, I mean, that's how we did it. We just worked our asses off till we became undeniable. They could not put us on the bill. And plus that we were pretty cheap back in the day too to hire. So, that helped. But you know what, that they look at that sort of shit and they go,
oh, they really do.
That's like, well, we can get this X band for $100,000, or we can get these guys for like
$30 a day.
Yeah, that's right. But you know what, when we got the national big day out, the payday was actually pretty good for us at the time, 2004. Oh man, yeah. I think we actually took a few $100 and everyone was like, yeah, this is party time. And then we went and got silly, and spent blew all our money. That's exactly what we did.
Yeah.
It was amazing though, man. It was so good. I still remember meeting all the guys in Metallica and the guys from like bands like Kings of Leon. And I got to, I actually got to ask some really poignant questions. I don't know how they went over, but I got to ask Will.I.Am from Black Eyed Peas why they use the N-word so much. And he explained to me after I got an elbow in the ribs from somebody saying, man, you can't ask questions like that. I said, bullshit. I want to know. And he looked at me and he goes, man, that's a really poignant question. He said, the reason why is because we're taking the power back. And I was like, what? And then he went on this thing and explained to me why. And I was like, I'm enlightened. And it wasn't a black-white thing. It was just two musicians talking to each other on the level. And I was, in that moment, I was like, oh, man, that's amazing. And it was when Fergie first joined the band. And it was interesting because everyone was watching her, because we're all standing on the side of the stage and we're just going, who's this chick? She's smoking. I got to ask Mike Patton the difference between like a fan and a peer. And he said to me, he goes, it was kind of like his take on it anyway. And he said, like, when fans come up, they ask you for photos and they want autographs and all that sort of shit. And he said, like, we're on the level, we're peers. Because you're a musician, I'm a musician. You know what I mean? I was sort of like, whoa, dude, I was like, whoa, my head hurt for a bit and I got all woozy because I fanboyed hard. Yeah. And I was like, I have to go now. I have to leave. So he goes, what are you all dressed up for? I said, I'm about to go up on stage and make some noise. And he's like, oh, cool, I'll pop over and have a look. Whether he did or not, I don't know.
Yeah.
But but you know what's interesting? I was telling that story at a party once and this guy goes, oh, you name dropper? And I was sitting there going, okay, let me just tell this story without the names. So I was talking to this guy and he said, we're peers. And then I went and made some noise and he said, you come and watch.
But that's the
world I live in. And it really got to me. Do you know what I mean? Because I was sitting there going, I'm not trying to be cool. I'm not trying to get kudos or, you know.
Yeah, Mike Patton from Faith No More.
Yeah. I'm not trying to score that chick, what? You know what I mean?
I'd be dropping that name every chance I had. So, you know, power to you and keep dropping it.
Mate, you should hear the amount of times he drops your fucking name in a conversation.
Yeah, see?
This is the Brown Park Podcast.
Real fellas.
This is the Brown Park Podcast with Christo and Dion. Now back to the show.
And tell me, like back in the early days when you were kicking off, have you ever had a proper job? I mean, not that musician's not a proper job, but have you ever had a job where you've had to show up to like a 9-to-5, or have you essentially been semi-retired since the age of 16?
Yes, that you got inside information. Yes, that's right. No, yes, I have had real jobs, actually, D. I've worked for a few different companies in my time, but always, because music's always the forwardmost thing in my mind. It was just a means to an end to get from A to B. So I still remember I was working for a recruitment company as just as a labourer. Yep. A labour hire company, I should say. Anyway, they got me a pretty cushy gig job at I was working for Crown Forklifts, and Curdy was across the road in the rail depot, and like we were saving up the money to do the EP to record it.
Yep.
And I was counting every cent all the time. I wouldn't go out, I wouldn't do anything. There was, I wasn't buying any beers or whatever. And I still remember the day I had my $1,500 all saved up, and these guys rocked up in a van beside me, and they were like, "Hey man, you want to buy some speakers?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, I
remember
really
those
do
guys.
some new speakers sort of thing." I said, "How much?" And they go, $1,500. And I went, "Nah, I'm saving it, man. I'm gonna record an EP and be famous.
I'm gonna be a rock star."
But yeah, but it's because Dad always said, if you do something you love, you'll never work a day in your life. So that's why I always say I've been semi-retired since I was 16. Because that was my first covers band.
And so moving forward now, you took a break from the band for a while, and you've come back again. And how is that conversation when you come back and you go, "Hey guys, you want to get back together?"
That's pretty much, I think that's how it sounded too. Yeah. It's interesting because I didn't know, like when I left the band, I really needed to get out. My mental health was in a very dark place, and a lot of other things, like there's relationship issues and trying to be a father and work out my place in the world and all that sort of stuff, and having the toxic relationship of the band around you, it's as you guys know, it's crushing, soul destroying. Mm-hmm. So I made the very tough decision to leave the band, which was still producing a fairly good yearly salary, if you like, and it was comfortable in that respect, but everything else was terrible. So I had to leave, and when I pulled the pin, it was, and that it even like sort of cascaded down again. I went down another level because I was like, well, now I don't have at least that to sort of anchor myself to. And then when you've got all the other things like paying for, you got to still pay, the bills are still coming in, relationship issues, trying to be a dad, all that stuff. Oh man, it got hectic there for a little while. It was a crazy time.
So we just going back to the mental health side of things. Were you battling mental health and that's why you left the band, or?
Yeah, it was kind of interwoven all through it. But yes, that's right. Yeah.
Was there
definitely.
one moment, like, was there I guess, for lack of a better word, a trigger point where you went, "No, I'm done. I need to do my own thing for a while"? Or was there one moment, or was it a culmination of the last, 10 years?
Yeah, 100%. That's what it was. It was just, it had grown, just eaten away at me so much. I just got to a point where I couldn't stand it anymore. And I think it was the day that my, at the time, wife looked at me and just shook her head and just said, "Who are you?" I just went, "Whoa, who am I? What am I doing here? This is crazy." It may seem innocuous, comment to other people, but it was just the way it was said, and it just seemed to hit me at the right point. And
did you turn around and say, "I'm Clint Boge from the Butterfly Effect, and I just caught up with Will.I.Am and Mike Patton from Faith No More"?
Don't you know who I think I am?
Yeah.
Jesus. It was, that was just that moment. But yes, it had built up to that, and it was probably long overdue. And not only that, looking back on it, even like, the other guys will say, we should have taken a break. We should have had a couple of years off, just put the band on hiatus, and everyone gone and done other things. And I tried to do that with the other bands that I sort of jumped into around the 2010 mark, but I think I gave myself more work to do.
But it's easy to say that, right? Isn't it? Like to say that we should have taken a break, but when it's your main source of income and you're on a trajectory of success, it'd be hard to go, all right, that's it, let's just stop for a bit.
Yeah. Oh, 100%, man. It was difficult. I actually went and got a day job after that. I went and worked at at the Star Trek depot in Brizzy, just to like lug boxes around and, just to do something physical, just to sort of earn some more money. And then I went and started playing covers, just standing in the corner of a pub. And I think it helps understand where, a lot of the musos were at out there.
How does ego then play into something like that? Because it would be like, I was taking the piss, but you had a level of fame with the band. The band was popular. To then go, okay, well, I'm standing in the corner playing covers. Is there a degree of ego that plays in going, look, I miss that. I miss being up on stage in front of, like a big day out or something like that?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, absolutely. I think the first time you get dribbled on by a drunk and you get called the big C-bomb, and
and that's just Dion.
Yeah. And seriously, and someone's yelling at you because you're not playing their favourite song, or you get like the Karen that walks up to you with the I want to speak to the manager haircut and says, can you play something we can dance to? It brings into sharp focus, that it's not fun. It's just not. And the ego just goes, hey, dude, these people have no idea. You could be back in front of, 1,500, 2,000. Like the most of people I played in front of was like 30,000 people at Big Day Out. You know what I mean? And you're playing to 5 people who can't just start swearing at you and telling you suck. Yeah, man, it really does. The ego, whoa, that's tough times. And you just sit there and you're like, what am I doing here? Whoa.
Taxi. Jesus.
I wonder what that was.
Do you want to just go and explore? Was that something falling off of the wall behind you?
That was something falling off the wall.
Is that a poltergeist in your house? Like they're not happy with what you said, or?
Actually, I think I know what that was. I've got some all my backstage passes in like really nice frames and stuff.
Not anymore.
They'll be all over the floor. And it's funny because I just looked at them today. Yeah, thanks, buddy. Yeah, I've got my eldest gun there. Oh,
you're just going to have to start wearing them around your neck instead of the wall now, you.
Yeah. Don't you know who I am?
Yeah. Look, here's my pass. That's weird.
Hey, it's all right, buddy. It's okay. I'll get to it. Yep, it's okay. Thanks, man.
Now that you say that, I'm looking at what I'm trying to make out what's on the back wall there. What are some of the highlights? Because that looks like a homage to your career behind you.
It is. This is the media room where I'm sitting currently, and there is a whole bunch of like really cool stuff. Like there's some like gig posters. There's the big one behind me is from Germany when we toured through Germany. There's what else? There's either a few tour posters. There was the one we did with Chevelle. There's some press shots that we did, and there's a few big like crowd shots. There's one actually back here where it's a Big Day Out, where I came on stage with the flag and jumped off the drum riser. It was very epic. And
so I'd imagine walking past a wall like that after playing covers in a corner would be like, oh my fucking God.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, it was, but I mean, it's very humbling. And I think, you do, I have a newfound respect for all the musos out there that sit in those corners and play the covers and they're doing what they love, and I think the public have got a fair bit to answer for the way they speak to musos, generally. And I was always miffed about it. I'd sit there and go, I don't understand why you walk in here and feel like you can talk to me like that.
Did you ever say that to someone, or did you just bite your tongue and go, yes, of course, I'll play Staying Alive?
No, I said it in Mount Isa once, and the guy tried to rip my earrings out of my ears and ripped my shirt clean off my body.
Oh, wow.
So I jumped up on stage, and the football was on this big screen, and I had to start at 8. Really, I should have waited, but I started, and I was just cruising. I was just playing some just cruisy covers. And he said to me, I said, oh, hey, everyone, how you going on the mic? And he just turned around and he said, keep it down, you effing see like this.
Yeah.
And I just went, wow. And when I walked off stage, I walked over to him. I said, oh, hey, mate, look, there's just no need to talk to me like that. And he just turned around and he went, fuck you, and just went for my throat.
Holy hell.
So I just grabbed his wrist, rolled him onto the floor. But the guy was like 125 kegs and about 6'5". I'm not joking. And I couldn't get up fast enough. And he was swinging. I had his hands. I was in the prone position. What is the jiu-jitsu when you're on your back with your legs up? I was trying to fend him.
Missionary.
Yeah, that's the one. But that was hectic. It was hectic. So that's the only time I think I've ever, and the first and the last time.
Yeah. Well, that's not a bad record for somebody who's been in a rock band for 20 years.
Yeah, that's actually pretty good.
Yeah.
I'm more of a hugger. I don't want to.
Yeah, I can vouch for that.
Yeah, I enjoy a hug.
Yeah.
It's good.
Goes against the rock star ethic, but yes.
I know. Well, see, the thing is, but yeah, you're right. I remember, you know what, and this is, I kind of built my ethic around watching or listening to young fans of really famous bands talk about their interactions with these supposed rock stars. And I was like, that's such bad behavior. Like, I won't mention any names, but there was a few big international bands that came out, and I remember this one girl was telling me she went to give this guy a hug, and he just he put his hand up and just gave her the finger and laughed and walked off.
Yeah, what a dick.
I was like, man, that's horrible. So I think, yeah, you can make yourself a little bit too accessible, though.
When I was younger, I can't even remember. I think I was in Melbourne Airport and I ran into Peter Garrett. And at the time, Midnight Oil was the shit. Like, they were massive all over the planet. And I happened to walk into the bathroom at the same time as him, and I've gone, oh, are you Peter Garrett? And here I was. I probably would have been all of about 7 or 8 at tops.
I love it.
And I've thought, oh, I'm going to meet somebody famous. This is a huge moment. And he turned around going, not today, kid, and walked off.
That's because he was at the urinal taking a piss.
No, he wasn't there. He wasn't there. Because I would have respected that, and I would have been too nervous to do that anyway. But it was one of those moments as we walked in at the same time, we just went, no, not today, kid. And I've always had that memory, and I thought, fuck. And even to this day, I see Midnight Oil and I see him on telly, and I'm like, fuck you. You rejected me when I was a 7-year-old that just wanted to say hi. So that's you. But you're right. That it sticks with you.
It really does, man. It can wreck music for people, and it has, like, I've learnt the hard way that sometimes you just shouldn't get too... Man, I'll tell you what, any other time I don't hear boo out of any of these guys, I get on the mic, bang, bingo.
Yeah,
just put them back on Fortnite and they'll be gold.
Yeah, pictures fall off the wall. Dogs are getting attacked. It's it's
crazy,
what happens.
Dude. But look, I've learned the hard way. Getting too close to some fans can be very not dangerous, so to speak, but just it can really damage relationships and their love for the music.
Yeah.
So what does that look like? What does that mean when you say a fan can be too close? What does that look like?
Next question.
I'm
talking about.
Don't shit in your backyard.
That's right. I'm talking about the female fans that you might have, had conversations with at some juncture, and they've led somewhere, and then it, like, if it goes south or sour. Sorry, I shouldn't say south. That's
that's what got you into trouble in the first place.
Yeah, that's right. If it turns sour, then it can definitely wreck the music and all of that, their journey with you, even via proxy. It's really important. And I've learned that the hard way, and I've, probably damaged or destroyed some of those journeys, which is it, I really should have thought about it, but, yeah.
You were young and horny.
Yeah, it comes with the territory, man.
So I want to know how many people listen to the Butterfly Effect now and go, that prick, the son of a bitch?
Man, there's definitely a few. I know that for sure. I've been told point blank.
But you wouldn't be. You wouldn't be on your own with that, though.
So somebody's actually said you ruined the Butterfly Effect for me.
Pretty much, yeah. I was hanging out with a girl that, it didn't work, and She said, I don't think I can ever listen to it again. And I was like, fuck, that sucks, man.
You were that bad that she could never listen.
That's right. It was just I was young.
Yeah,
it was just that time. I've learned a lot since then. Well, I'd like to think so.
Yeah.
I don't dabble in that area often. That arena.
We'll move on.
Thank you very much. That's great. I'm squirming over here. I'm blushing, everyone.
And he's sweating. Just get a towel there.
Oh, man, I tell you what. Yeah, well, I turned the fan off so it wouldn't blow through the mic. I'm suffering here.
Nice.
Yeah, you're good.
Well, I want to say thank you very much for being part of our podcast.
That's lovely. Thank you for having me.
And breaking Dion in, because this is his first foray into radio.
It didn't hurt too much.
No, you were pretty good. Although, I think there is like as you know, Christo, with your you get this sort of intuition for like when to speak and when to listen, because you don't want everyone talking at the same time.
What? Yeah. Sorry, what are you talking about? Hey?
Yeah, that's right. But it'll be very interesting to watch you learn that, D.
Oh, it's going to be a journey.
Yes. Clint Boge, Butterfly Effect, thank you very much for joining us today.
Cheers, guys.
Thanks, mates.
The Brown Podcast.
Why are you happy?
Because I don't want to be sad.